This past year, on December 21st, for the first time in about close to 400 years, was known an astronomical event known as the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. The two planets converged closely together, and their star light looked radiant, more radiant than what in the sky than what we've seen before. It is known as the Bethlehem Star. This Sunday, we celebrate the feast of the Epiphany, insight into who Christ is on this feast of the Christmas season. Think about it for a moment. Who and what are the stars in your life that shine radiantly of God's love for you and for the world? The gospel passage for this Feast of the Epiphany is from Mathew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. And we're introduced to astrologers from the east who show up one day in Jerusalem inquiring, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We have observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." And at this point, Herod's deeply disturbed and wants to get more information and feels threatened by that. Astrologers from the east. The word astrologer means to be a follower or a student in learning about the stars. It was in the later tradition that they became known as kings, and we also celebrate the feast of this Epiphany, the three kings that come to pay Jesus homage. You may see that in common nativity sets. But what is it about them that they follow this star? And it leads them to the Christ child where they pay their respects. So later on in the gospel, it says, they were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house, they find the house with the child with Mary, his mother. They prostrate themselves and did him homage. And then they opened their coffers and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They received a message in the dream not to go back to Herod to tell him what happened, but to return home by another route. They were overjoyed at seeing the star that led them to who Jesus was. And in that change, so much had changed, they had to go home by another route. The Christmas season celebrates the birth, the Word that becomes flesh. And this season today says, think about that. The Word that becomes flesh, not only for us, for ourselves or for family, but we have to widen our perspective and share this love with the world. Astrologers from the east were come from the Gentile world into Jerusalem to give witness to who Jesus is. This week, let us pay attention to how we are called and challenged to widen the edges of our love. It's no longer about us or our family or who we are in our tent of Christianity. It's about widening our edges, going out to the edges and widening that perspective of love, being students of the star of love, and going different routes to find our way back home, that we can be changed and learn and grow and come to know who we are as disciples of Jesus and being changed by followers of this same star of love. Who or what are the Bethlehem Star of God's love for us? And how are we challenged to grow and widen those edges of our love, God's love, that will lead us to different routes back home to God? Let us continue to celebrate this feast of Christmas, the Word becoming flesh and inviting us to grow in love. Amen.